Hello everybody, welcome back to G4G Games for Gamers. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn. Today we're taking a look at the newest hero in Heroes of the Storm. And we can actually say heroes in Heroes of the Storm instead of hero, because this is Cho-Gall, affectionately known as Cho'Gall. Whenever you play Cho'Gall, the first three letters of the person playing Cho becomes a name, and the last four of the person playing Gall becomes a name. Hyphenated. So if you are playing Bobs, you're Bob and your teammate is Bobs, your apostrophe is going to be Bobs. That's your Cho'Gall name. It's very interesting. He is a two-person hero, which is certainly unique. Basically, this is like a motorcycle and a sidecar. So his default skin is this, with the Twilight Hammer on his belt buckle, if you could call it a belt buckle. You could really call it a fat blocker, as it's keeping that gut at bay, and there he is from behind. Kind of looks like the Blob from X-Men, or a sumo wrestler. His middle color is not particularly different from his default. It's a very hard hero to look at because he tends to be tilted to the side when you let him go. There's his middle color, just kind of darkens him a little bit, gives him blonde hair on Cho. And this is the kind of frost giant color. His master skin looks like this, and his master skin is pretty awesome because of the Sage's hood that you get on Gall over there. You get kind of a blue in the middle, which is weird because it shows white down here. And then now is when you get the darker color, which is kind of like the middle one on the default. There's also the store skin, which looks like this. This is the middle color, which is pretty cool. And then this is the Angelic Diablo looking color. This one is really cool. This is probably the one that I would tend to use the most, although this one is pretty cool. The purple makes him definitely part of the Twilight cult. But that's probably the one I would stick with. So, for mounts, you can actually mount with him, but for any of your horse mounts, you carry it over the shoulder, and this is signified here when you're at the mount list by the Armored War Steed, and then carried the Plebe horse, and Plebe carried, Headless Horseman's Charger carried, and you will see the Judgment Charger carried. These are the only ones he actually carries. He only seems to carry horses. You would think he would also be able to easily do the billies, but for some particular reason he doesn't. So, Cho and Gall are actually two different heroes. When you own Cho, you are Cho. So essentially, the owner of Cho-Gall plays as Cho. The person you are sharing Cho-Gall with plays as Gall, which is the slightly lower head over here, the head on the left. The bigger head over here is Cho. Now, this is a lot like a motorcycle with a sidecar. Cho drives the vehicle and dictates where the vehicle goes. Gall is basically like a gunner sitting in the sidecar. If you can imagine a human being sitting in the sidecar of a motorcycle with a gun, that's what Gall is. Cho is a warrior, and Gall is a caster. And Cho certainly is quite tanky. How you get Cho-Gall, you get Cho if you watched BlizzCon online with a virtual ticket or went to BlizzCon. You get Gall by being the person Cho-Gall is sharing with. After you play 2 matches with a Cho-Gall, if you don't own Cho-Gall, you will then inherit him like herpes. And then you will be able to spread him. If you have Cho-Gall, you will have a quest to win 4 matches with somebody who does not own Cho-Gall, and then you get about 2,000 gold. So let's look at Cho's talents. He has what I like to call a beefy build, and he has a DPS build. Originally, I had believed that if there was a legitimate tank on the field, that I would be picking the DPS build. However, I definitely had a bad match with a very talented Gall partner when I chose to do the non-tank build. It made a difference in our survivability, and it really changed how Cho'Gall played. He went from feeling like a raid boss to just an average dude. But I will talk about both of Cho's specs, and then we'll dip into Gall a little bit. I did get to play one match as Gall, but the Cho handler in that match was a much better Gall, and he really did not want to continue playing Cho. It turned out I was the much better Cho of the two of us. So in Tier 1 we have Surging Dash, Blazing Bulwark, and Fuel for the Flame. Increases Surging Fist range and speed. This is what I go with for the DPS build. Blazing Bulwark is my tank build. Consuming Blaze reduces incoming basic attacks. Sorry for the pause there, was sneezing. So, in Tier 4, Rune Gauntlet, Rune Bomb empowers basic attacks. Sneezing again. Rollback, Rune Bomb returns, Seared Flesh, increased basic attack against consuming blaze targets. This is what I pick for the tanky build because you are using Searing Flesh as your major instigator for tanking. For the DPS build, Rollback is pretty cool because it varies from Cho'Gall to Cho'Gall. If they do a straight roll away or if they do a roll back, I do like the roll back. If I am doing the DPS build, I do find it fun. But Seared Flesh is what I like to do for the tanky build. Here we have Power Surge, Fire Eater, and Frenzied Fist. Fire Eater, basic attacks against consuming blaze targets heal you. This is the absolute fucking linchpin of Cho'Gall surviving and being tanky and feeling raid bossy. Fire Eater is a huge key. It allows him to kill camps. It allows him to decimate waves. This is by far my favorite talent when playing Cho. Considering that I was not too happy with the DPS build the one time, I think I will continue to be going the tanky build, especially when I have faith in my Gall. The Fire Eater is huge. However, Power Surge, if you are doing a DPS build, is phenomenal. Your increased width, basically this changes your arrow into like the lane. If you could just picture a lane, and picture the ability arrow just kind of going down the middle of it being average. Now picture the ability arrow taking up the whole friggin' lane. That's what Power Surge is. This is what I like to do for the DPS build. I do Fire Eater for the tank build. Here are the heroics, Hammer of Twilight and Upheaval. Hammer of Twilight is basically up about as often as Force Wall is on Tassadar. You get a small 180 to 120 degree, very short range pie in front of you. And first of all, your basic attacks just go up about 25%. When you activate the heroic, you push them away and give them a micro stun. It's up fairly quickly. It's an okay ability. Upheaval is up once a minute and is basically a gigantic Kerrigan suck-in move. It looks like an earthquake from an elemental shaman in a cone, very wide width at its end, very good distance away, and it brings everybody to you. Pretty nice if your consuming blaze is right off a cooldown. Really fun heroic, but you would really only want to do this one with the tank build because you're grabbing everybody to you, and if they focus you, you're in trouble. So you want to make sure that you can survive when they all get in front of your face. Here at Tier 13, Runic Blast reduces Runic Bomb cooldown. I'm hurrying Molten Block. I'm hurrying basically allows, and this is the synergy between the two heads here. I'm hurrying basically fixes an ability for Gall, where he gives you a little bit of speed boost, which is Z, the mount button for Gall. Cho dictates the mounting, but Gall can give you a good speed boost, good for getting out of trouble. Molten Block is phenomenal. If you like long kill streaks and you like going for a Hero of the Storm and you like surviving, Molten Block is a good way to go. It also has a bit of a Burning Rage in it. It's Ice Block that does damage. You wouldn't want to use this right after the Grippy Heroic, but if you grip people in, all of a sudden they just mad focus you, Molten Block. It also saves you from your Novas, your Kalthus' Pyroblast, all that shit. Runic Blast reduces Runic Bomb cooldown. Honestly, even when going for the DPS build, you need to have faith in your Gall for this one. Communicate with your Gall and find out if he wants this. If not, I'm hurrying is not bad. This also gets you out of trouble. Twilight, at 16, we have Twilight Veil, Surge of Stamina, Crippling Blow. Crippling Blow, Surging Fist massively slows enemy. This one's really, really good. Even in a tank build, both of these are still very fun because this is really good. I mean, you're going to use Surging Fist as your initiator. Unlike Artanis where you're in and out, Surging Fist is like Diablo. It just launches you in there. If you could super slow a primary target, it's good. But Twilight Veil is certainly very good if you have a lot of casters on the other side. Your Jaina's, your Kalthuses, all of those guys. Twilight Veil is pretty solid. Surging Fist giving you resistant. This is also tanky, but because you're building everything on a tank build based off of Consuming Blaze, Twilight Veil probably wins out. Here at 20, Cthulhu's Gift. Basic attacks are now ranged and they will slow targets. Very, very good for a raw DPS build. Upheaval grants resistant. Upheaval gives you a reduced damage for 5 seconds. This is very good if you are tanking and you are certainly being the big initiator. And then you also have the Will of Gall. Gall can activate Will of Gall to make you unstoppable for 2 seconds. This just basically means you don't... I mean, it's Jaina. If you play Jaina, you know what it is. I don't think this is the better one over here. If you go the Upheaval build, this is certainly a way to go, because if people are smart enough to focus you right after they get gripped in, and you're gripping in melee, your Zeratools, your ETCs, your Leorics, and everything like that, this much reduction is really good. And you could certainly Upheaval as an emergency to activate Favor of the Old Gods. So there's nothing stopping you from using Upheaval just to gain the resistance. I like this ability. Will of Gall, I maybe have picked it once or twice, but it's probably really good if you are on voice comms with somebody and kind of communicate what's going on. So as you can see, I have done some Gall over here. Let's take a look at his talents. Shadow Flare increases Shadow Flame width. Spurred Onward, damaging hero reduces Hurry Up Oath. I have Kilrog. Kilrog can see Stealthers. This is absolutely what you would want to do if you have Novas, if you have Zeratools. This is really good. Also good for maps with objectives like the Ravenlord or potentially the turn-in points for Tomb of the Spider Queen. Otherwise, Spurn Onward is actually pretty good. Increases Shadow Flame width. My Gall that I've worked with somewhat closely is said that he doesn't really like this one too much. So he suggested I didn't take it. I took Eye of Kilrog because I was dealing with Stealthers. Bombs Away increases Cho Rune Bomb range. Siphoning Runes, Runic Blast heals when hitting heroes. Double back, Dread Orb third bounce is reversed. This is where it goes out to and a third comes back. Either way, these are pretty good. Bombs Away will certainly catch people who have just walked on the inside of their gate to hearth or to like hang out for a second. Bombs Away really does mess that up. But this is for Cho. So this is the big roly spike ball. This is again where you have head synergy. Picking this doesn't help Gall, it helps Cho. Either one of these, double back or bombs away, is pretty good. Bombs away just kind of lets you siege from a little further out, which is not a particularly bad idea. Siphoning runes wouldn't be too bad if you are going for a tanky build. However, you have to make sure that you are very good at the Runic Blast. So what the Runic Blast is it's this. Whenever Cho throws the spiky ball out, Runic Blast detonates it, but it doesn't consume it. So what this does is he rolls out the spiky ball, which does just typical spiky roly ball physical damage. But Gall can go ahead and use it as like a Trojan horse and explode it whenever he wants. So you hear Cho saying bombs away and there's a ding, but if you're really busy as a Gall and you're constantly not paying attention, or maybe you're not on voice comms with your Cho, siphoning runes may be tough. You have to know that you're good at it, and if your Cho rolls the ball west and then he runs east, you may actually lose sight of where the ball has gone, and then activating it's going to be a little tough. Here at 7, Edge of Madness increases Shadow Flame damage to nearby enemies. Double Trouble, increased Shadow Flame damage against Consuming Blaze targets. Dark Descent increases Runic Blast damage with takedowns. Increases Runic Blast damage by 5% every time you get a hero tank down, up to 20. These bonuses are completely lost upon dying. Again, pretty good with the tank build if you're going to be living. However, Double Trouble is very good with the tank build because the tank build goes off of Consuming Blaze. Shadow Flame deals 40% bonus damage to enemies affected with Consuming Blaze. You're going to need to make a decision as a Gall here. If your Cho is routinely engaging and getting people hit with the Consuming Blaze, Double Trouble is a solid way to go, because Consuming Blaze is a very important ability for a tanky Cho. Edge of Madness, I'm not really that familiar with this one. Increases Shadow Flame damage by 20% against nearby targets. Okay. I think these two are probably the better two in this tier. Arguably, Double Trouble is probably the safer one. Runic Blast, again, requires that you are on point as your Gall. Shadow Bolt Volley and Twisting Neither. I pretty much see Shadow Bolt Volley the majority of times, and my Gall has always played this. When I did Gall, I did it. It's really solid, but you as a turret are super slow in it. Normally some abilities, like you can whip around like that, and you'd be like, oh, I gotta turn this way for it. I gotta turn that way for it. If you're Gall and you're trying to turn Shadow Bolt Volley, it's like this. That's about how slow it is. And it again requires that you communicate with your Cho that he's helping you aim it and move in the right direction. It has the shorter cooldown, Twisting Neither. After 1 second, nearby enemies are slowed by 40% while you channel up to 5 seconds. Activate to deal 342 damage. I'm not really familiar with that one. The range is kind of like an ATC range around him for his abilities and whatnot. I think Shadow Bolt Volley is the way to go, but it could be the bad way to go if you're just not very good with your Cho. Rising Dread. Dread Orb damage increases each bounce. Pretty solid. Speed of Twilight. Dread Orb gains bonus movement speed. When Dread Orb hits an enemy hero, you gain 30% movement speed for 2 seconds. Dread Shield. Dread Orb gains a shield. If it hits an enemy hero, you gain a shield for 5 seconds. Good for a tank build. You have to know, as a Gall, this one depends on you. You need to know your aim. Rising Dread would be good for sieging. Dread Shield, it's really solid if your Cho's very good at engaging, is constantly getting in there, constantly surrounding himself with heroes. Pretty solid, helps him live, but Rising Dread is really good DPS. Twilight Nova. Dreadorb launches 2 extra bombs. Basically, after the first bounce, as Dreadorb plops down the second time, it splits in a Y pattern. It goes 1 hop, at 2 hops, it explodes diagonally 45 degrees left and right in the same direction the bomb is going. Shadow Flame does 3% of a hero's maximum health. This is the giant killer of Gall. This is very good if you have tanks on the other side or another Cho'Gall. Shove is kind of hysterical. My girlfriend did this once. I've never seen it any other time. Basically, Gall is able to knock you back a little bit, and it is good for getting out of somewhat small circles of danger. If an ETC is doing his mosh pit on you and you're in it, a Gall can shove you out of the way if aimed properly. One time she did it, she actually shoved us up along the edge of the circle, not out of it. So we went from like southwest on the circle to northwest on the circle, and we just stayed in it. Here 20, Shadow Bolt pierces, increases twisting the other slow and damage, or Psychotic Break, keep casting after death. Upon dying, you continue to use the ability for 10 seconds. Okay, I guess this is like Tyrael's angel form, or Uther's form over there, where it continues to heal for a while. I don't know that I've seen this. Shadow Bolt volley hits all enemies in the path. Seems to be the way to go. This is pretty solid, especially if your Cho's really getting in there, and he's gone like Upheaval, he's gripping somebody in. Upheaval and a good Shadow Fury aimed right down the center of that Upheaval as they're coming in, and then smacking them as they get right in your face, and this pierces through them as they're trying to run away. Very, very good combination. And as you can see here, this is a 60-second cooldown. And if we look at Cho, 60-second cooldown. Very, very good played with each other. Hammer of Twilight would actually be pretty good with Gall's Twisting Neither, because Twisting Neither, if you get it on a lot of enemies, and your Cho hits that ability, doesn't knock them out of it, it's going to stun them and allow them to basically not get out of the Twisting Neither. You'll be stunned in it, which will be pretty good. So there are the two. You do level them up independently. When you're piloting Cho, you level up Cho. If you are sitting in the turret seat and playing Gall, you level up Gall. You have to queue up with at least one person in your party. When you pick Cho, it says Napalm Dawn is waiting for a Gall. One of your other people in the party have to pick Gall. You cannot solo queue. With this, you cannot train. You cannot versus AI. You'll notice no available teammates down there. Ranked and everything. When you are doing hero picking, Cho'Gall cannot be first, and he cannot be last. That was information that was said at BlizzCon. I don't honestly know if that is what is live, but that's a look at him. So, because going through all of these abilities was so long, I will not actually be able to go ahead and give you some live action play of them. I'll probably be doing that in a bit of a separate video. Plus, I don't have anybody here right now. I would have to wait until one of my two trusted Galls are around and record some footage of the two of us together. So, he is quite fun. If you are a Heroes of the Storm fan and you happen to know me on Battle.net or are a fan of the channel, by all means go ahead and look me up, and I will be happy to help you get a Cho'Gall. All my quests are done, but I certainly will give you the Cho'Gall herpes if you ask nicely. Dude, give me the Gall or I will kill your cat is not exactly asking nicely. Hey Napalm, I would love to inherit Cho'Gall. That would be awesome, and I would give it to you. So, there's a look at Cho'Gall. The newest hero in Heroes of the Storm coming up, we still have Greymane, the Worgen, human and werewolf. We have Lunara, which is a dryad, and then we will eventually have Tracer from the Overwatch area. She is not flushed out yet. I think you can inherit Overwatch for free by pre-ordering Overwatch. They had nothing to show on Overwatch at BlizzCon other than basically a few renders. She's not fleshed out at all. Cho'Gall, Lunara, and Greymane, there was certainly a lot of information on. I wonder if they will continue past these slots over here. I wonder when these slots get filled, will that be it? What will they do? Will they maybe have little down arrows in the second page and everything? By the way, if you are playing Cho'Gall, because so many are playing I guess that would be it. So many are playing them in the first week, you may sit in the queue for a while. If you sit in the queue for a while, what will happen is you will get bounced into what some people call the scrub queue. The scrub queue is when you get paired up with people who are not 40 or close. You may dip down to people with single digits or in the teens. If you do, please remember, help the lobies out. There are certainly some people who are installing the game fresh. And when you dip down there and you're with a 5 or 6, try to help them out. I mean, if you see people like Zagar doing a maw on camps, you may want to help that Zagar out a little bit. Try not to be League of Legends and ruin everybody's day. That's my piece for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this look at Cho'Gall. Stay tuned to the channel for hopefully some actual live Cho'Gall footage. I just need a partner for it when I do it. Take care, everybody.